I'm Krista, I'm an addict.
I'm Gracie and I'm not.
I'm Heath. I'm an alcoholic addict.
Today on this episode, we have Heath. I've had the privilege of being able to work with him. He is on the front line of helping people get into treatment, shows them with personal experience, his own recovery, and he has a good story to tell, and I can't wait to share that with you. So, Heath, we're going to give you the floor and just share your experience.
Thank you, Krista. Like I said, I'm Heath. I'm an alcoholic addict. I have a sobriety date of April 26th of 2020. Um, I had I started off, they tell you to kind of solidify how you got here. And I started off very, very early. You know, my parents were both extreme drug addicts and alcoholics. And I started smoking pot with my dad when I was 8. I started making and doing meth with my father when I was 11. My mom, like a lot of people, she took off very early when I was around 5 years old, and she wasn't in the picture. She left my father to raise me and my little brother, and raising kids was not his forte. So becoming friends and partying with his kids was, and that's what we were. It led me down a very long and troubled path that I didn't realize was a long and troubled path. I normalized, now that I've been in recovery for a while and I'm in the position I'm in, I normalized a lot of things that I didn't realize were normal. I didn't realize that people didn't smoke pot with their parents when they got home from junior high. I didn't realize that people didn't do meth with their parents or took meth for that matter. I can remember at one point I had a friend come over in junior high, and I shared some meth with him, and it completely and utterly it scared him. Um, he didn't do. I don't know if this is a great thing or not, but he didn't do drugs all through high school because of this. Now he's an addict now, and I hate that. I've tried to get him in the rooms for a while, but he is. But on to what got me. I I went through the typical addict behaviors for a long time. I just went through them as a kid. Around 13 years old, my father he met a woman, and he looked at me and he said, "This woman doesn't really like children." So he needed me and my brother to find some place to go. So I had to move out. And I didn't really, I mean, I made and sold meth. I sold weed. Like I didn't really have too much of a problem with that. So I went and got an apartment. My brother moved in with a family member, the one and only family member that was a constant in our life that was there, my aunt, and I just kept going. So I got locked up as a juvenile. I got out. I learned to be a little smarter with it. Uh, I went throughout my time. I became an extreme drug addict and alcoholic because of my early start. Uh, when most people were getting accustomed to just trying methamphetamine, heroin, and marijuana, uh, I mean, it's a normal occurrence for me,
Yeah.
and so I always I always thought about having something normal, though. I was always chasing this kind of a normal thing, and I met a woman who had this normal life, and to keep it kind of PG, the only women that I had ever hung around up until this point in my life, and I'm about 18 at this point, uh, were women that wanted what was in my pocket. And I was fine with that. I like those. That's so to rewind a little bit, the reason I was fine with that. So one of the things that troubled me throughout my childhood was my father was a functioning kind of non-functioning drug addict. And what I mean by that is he finished drywall for a living, and he would go to work all week long. He would get paid on Friday. He would spend all of his money on Friday on drugs. Um, and we would go without food and without most things until we were thrown out of whatever trailer he had managed to get us in with the tax money from that year. And that was an ever ending cycle. But I always did not understand why my father did not become that guy that pulled up on Friday evening with these 2 or 3 girls in his car that got my entire dad's paycheck. Like, I was like, why are you not that guy? That guy has a nice car. He's got 2 or 3 girls hanging off of him, and he gets all your money. So that is the person that I wanted to be. From early childhood, I can remember, like, that's the person I idolized, the drug dealer, that guy, because he had everything in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the trailer parks. I grew up, this comes a little later, but I grew up in the bottom. And when you grow up at the bottom, there is no bottom. I can remember at one point before I had moved out, me and my brother had been home for 3 days. My dad hadn't been home. There's no food, so I'm mixed flour, water, and sugar up, and I'm frying this at the stove with clear Karo syrup. Remember, we used to get that from the food bank, clear Karo syrup. And this roommate guy, my dad's, walks in, and he looks up, he said, "Hey, what are you making?" And I said, "Well, I mixed flour, water, and sugar up, and I'm frying this up to eat with my brother Mark because we don't have anything." And I still never forget it. He said, "Well, man, will you make me a couple?" And looking back on that, I'm like, this dude is an adult. Like, where was he to say, hey, let's go get some food? But
Yeah.
active addiction to I did time with that guy. Ended up later on in life, but and he's one that helped me get sober. But anyway, I always idolized that guy. So when I met this woman that was on the right path and everything, I seen her. Her parents worked for a living, and they had stuff. Her life was just completely alien to what my life was. So I started dating her. She acted differently than any of the women that were around me. She did not do drugs. She did not drink. We hung out for a long time. Now, the thing is, she did not question or mind what I did at all. I always had money. That's one thing I've always I've always had a pocket full of money because I always, I used to say before my sponsor taught me of it, I was a drug addict, an alcoholic, and a criminal, because criminal mindset and criminal lifestyle is one of my biggest addictions. And so she never questioned that. She was a very codependent person. She was a very codependent person. And I ended up marrying her. I ended up having 3 beautiful children with her. And in comes where the crime comes in. Now, at 18 years old, I'm with her. It's right before we get married. She is pregnant with my twins, and I catch my first major felony case. I catch a 2-1 in the Indiana Department of Corrections. I go, I don't know if anybody's familiar, but I do not go. I'm in the county jail long enough that I only go to RDC to get my number. I come back, and like a lot of people ignorant of the law at first, they come at me. I get a modification. I modify out. But I've had my first experience with this time. I meet some guys. I fall in with like this wrong crowd, and I start running with these guys. Fast forward, I catch my second, about 2 years later, I catch my second major felony methamphetamine case. and I take that back. My wife wasn't pregnant yet. She's pregnant with my twins now. At this point, I decide that, I've never really had any family. I don't really have any friends. I decide that I'm going to join this group. It's a very pivotal time in my life. And I joined this brotherhood of guys that I really feel like are my family. I really feel like this is a great choice that I'm going to make. They really speak like everything's going to be fine in my life. And I run with these guys really tight for a long, long time. And from a criminal world aspect and a drug aspect, it was very life changing. But these guys, they weren't what I thought they were in the end. I wish I could take that all back. It only led to more incarceration, and people looked at me a lot differently for a long time. But in all this, I get this job at St. Mary's Hospital, third shift, believe it or not. And I mean, I'm completely, I cook methamphetamine, and I'm like, I've landed this job at the hospital, third shift, doing floors. So like, I don't sleep, and they just don't notice and everything. And I end up getting caught on 41 and Lynch, and they end up airing my face on 14 WFIE with a big swastika behind my head. And so I make sure that I'm going to be able to pass the drug test, and I try to go back into work. And work is like, we're going to suspend you. And I'm like, I can pass a drug test, so like it has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Like, well, I don't understand. And like, well, we'll get back with you. So I go on for about 2 weeks. My wife is pregnant with twins at this point in my life. And they end up getting back a hold of me. And to make a long story short, they give me a severance package and tell me I can't. They tell me that whether I'm a racist or not, they can't defend that I'm not a racist, and they have to let me go. Now,
So that public, them putting that on there just like ruin things, right? We've talked about that sometimes, me and Gracie, just how the media just can ruin your future. I mean,
and I'll be honest with you. I had very big ties. I sold methamphetamine to lawyers, United States senators, the legislator. Like, no joke. I can name them. So when I got caught at that point, I went and hired Bob Canada. And then when they did, I said, Bob, I want to sue 14 WFIE for this. It's ruining my life. And he said, we can sue them, and you may even be able to get some money, but it doesn't take that picture back.
yeah.
It doesn't take that picture back. So, what I didn't add was my mother was a terrible, terrible alcoholic. And I had always said I will never drink. For some odd reason in my brain, drugs were completely acceptable because I'd been with my father. Drugs were, but I'm never going to drink. Now, I'd say that was, now that I've learned, it's trauma from not having a mother all my life. And that's why I looked at drinking so strongly. But with these guys that I had been in, I had started to drink, and I had started to drink more and more. And once this happened in my life, there was a wedge in my marriage, a pretty big wedge right there. That basically, my wife was the kind of person that she's looking the other way this entire time, but she's now pregnant with twins. They've aired my face. I've been incarcerated twice for all of this. And she's like, look, it was time to grow up. We're on 3 kids now, and you are out doing these things. And I can't stop. And I start drinking, and I start drinking more, and I start going to bars, because my solution for this not having this job, now St. Mary's paid me a lot of money to walk away from them. I'm talking like they weren't going to fire me because they didn't have grounds really to fire me. So they gave me like $7,000 to just walk away, and my 403B, which is a non-taxable 401k. And I took it and started a construction company with my father. That's my big idea. I'm going to start this construction company with my father, who is strung out of his mind, and we're going to do construction work together, which equated to we're going to get a few jobs, and I'm going to cook methamphetamine more. And where am I going to sell all this methamphetamine? The bars are the best place. So I'm in the bar 7 days a week. And I can tell you that my wife doesn't give a shit how much money I have because I'm not there. And
Yeah.
It ends my to make all of this a little shorter because of time, it ends my marriage there. And I catch some more charges and I go on a run. Um, and I'm trying to see my kids. You know, my kids are, I always tell myself I'm not going to leave my kids behind, everything. I'm trying to see my kids, but these charges are stacking up. And one of the things about the county that I'm in at this time, Warwick County, I'm from Boonville, is they're one of the counties that you catch a level 3, they'll let you bail out. You catch another level 3, they'll let you bail out. In fact, if you look at my case, at one point I caught a level 5 and a level 6 and bailed out in less than 24 hours, caught a level 3 and bailed out. You know, I mean, it's unbelievable. They're just letting me. I had, when I found on my final sentencing on what I have now, I had 5 cause numbers in 3 different counties, not county Kentucky. So I'm trying to keep this thing going with my kids. My ex-wife is no idiot. I'm pulling up in a new nice car every single time to pick my kids up. I don't have a job, and she is like, "This is done. This is done. This is done. This is done. You're not going to keep doing it." She finally catches wind that I have all these warrants and I'm wanted, and she says it's no more with the kids, and that devastates me. But I don't do what any normal person, average person would do. I don't decide that this is the time that I would straighten up. I decide that this is all her fault for not letting me see these kids, and I'm going to go balls to the wall. So, I mean, that's what I do. And for the sake of time, what it ends up is I go to Kentucky. So in Indiana, I catch a 3, 4 level 5s, 4 level 6s. And I go to Kentucky, and I think that no one knows me over there. Nothing's got, I'm really doing my thing over there. I'm dealing with some Spanish speaking people of some high clout, and the task force busts me over there and gets me with trafficking with the enhancement of a firearm of methamphetamine, trafficking with the enhancement of marijuana, with a handgun, possession of stolen property over $10,000, and possession of a legend drug. Those Spanish speaking fellows bail me out for $20,000 cash. And I leave Kentucky and I come back over to Indiana. And, I need to straighten up. I need to straighten up. And by straighten up, I need to cook more methamphetamine, and I need to get this money to I owe those guys a lot of money. I pay them. And I run for 5 years off of that. I don't see my children in this time. Um, I just sell guns, I sell stolen cars, and I sell methamphetamine. Now, one big thing is an insane is I quit drinking. I knew that drinking was going to be the downfall of me getting caught by the marshals. And luckily, by the grace of God, my new wife has never seen me drunk. And it's crazy. People would come by and they would tell her, "Man, you're just so lucky he doesn't drink anymore." And then we would shoot meth. Like, we can't do shots of liquor, but we do shots of meth. But and ultimately, in that running, every single place that I stopped at, I brought everyone down. And I didn't realize that until I got into recovery, that every single stop at every single place that I met, and where I landed in a camper in the woods on my future father-in-law's property. I did not leave for a solid year and a half, did not leave the property.
Oh my gosh.
People brought me everything that I needed, and everything was sent out. A funny story that they teach you about your emotions and everything in a group called DBT. I had no idea about emotions. I thought anxiety was a fake thing. At one point, leaving this place, I tried to leave to go to a grocery store one day, and I had an anxiety attack, but I didn't know what it was. And I pulled a gun on the guy driving me and told him if he didn't turn me around, I was going to shoot him because I had no idea what I was feeling, but we needed to leave. It was pretty insane. So, all in all, we do this thing, and I just it gets to a point where I have pounds of methamphetamine. I got a brick of money, and me and my girlfriend are arguing all the time. And I don't know if you've been in the throes of addiction, but that is ridiculous. I mean, we got everything that we would ever need in addiction, and we can't even get along. And I feel like things are going bad. I stopped talking to that association of group guys that I was talking to. People are telling me that they feel like people are watching them come to me. And I don't know how to say this without feeling arrogant, but I wasn't one of them guys that sold sack chasers things. You know, if you're coming to me, you're getting a large amount of stuff. So I'm only speaking to 4 or 5 people. So I'm trusting these 4 or 5 people. So when they're telling me, I think people are watching me come to you, I'm listening to them.
Yeah.
So 2 things happen. One, a guy comes out to my house and he tells me in the driveway that there's a drone above my home, a drone the size of what he says is a small car. And I tell him he needs to leave if he's been up that one. And he tells me that I know that he isn't that guy. And so I'm a very big gun nut at this time. So I grab a gun and I come out, and he tries to tell me that this drone is flown away. And I tell him he's full of shit. And, you know, the next thing that happens is 3 days later, a guy calls me from the jail and he tells me, hey, they're talking in here and they're saying that there's a guy out at a junkyard doing things and they're about to grab him and we know it's you. And I hang up and I'll never forget it. I look at my girlfriend at the time and I say, I really feel like they're closing in. So we can either run like we have been or it can just be done. And I don't know why. I'd like to say by the grace of God, we don't go anywhere. And on January 6th of 2020, 3 armored vehicles, 2 SWAT teams, 21 police cars, and a helicopter wake me up. Well, let me rephrase that. We look at the cameras and they're there. They pull us out, and we finally end our thing. So that's my wife's sobriety date. I would like to tell you that was my big eye opener. That was my big awake. It was not. I knew a guy coming in on a parole violation. I had him pack his suitcase, so to say. I kept going till April 26th. I had a meth-induced heart attack while I was in there. I would like to tell you that having a meth-induced heart attack while I was incarcerated would have stopped me. It did not. I don't incarcerate well. I do a lot of solitary confinement time. Finally, in a solitary confinement cell, I was reading the Bible and I had an aha moment, and I made a covenant with God that if he could just show me something differently, that I would try to live differently. And on April 26th, which is my birthday, I literally gave my drugs away when I got back to population. I haven't touched drugs since. I had never, up until this point, ever been offered a program. In all the incarcerations I've ever done, they've never offered me a program. I am, because of that affiliation with the group that I was in, my classification always says that I cannot do level 1s. So I never get to do the programs, you know, and even if I did get there, I'm gonna be end up assaulting someone. It's just so this time, my wife convinces me to like it was like a perfect storm. I'm in a county that they don't have like she's like, you need to write the judge. And I'm like, that's an ex parte communication. That's not even legal. And she's like, not in this county. They do
Yeah.
anything. So I write the judge and he pulls me out and he says, hey, you know, I'm going to give you a chance. But if you got 3 other counties, you got to get on board. And I get these other counties on board, and they're going to release me. And I get to now counseling, and I sit there and I do nothing. I hate that it was so much in the old, but what I will tell you is, I have a sponsor, and my sponsor has a sponsor, and through treatment, I have learned that in 12-step rooms, whatever 12-step room you're in, regardless of what program you work, there's always promises. And I can tell you right now that as I sit here, my children were walking around behind me. That ex-wife that I did so wrong and that wouldn't ever speak to me again. I have the code to her home. I walk into her home and I ground my children from their phones for her home not being cleaned up. I am in the bachelor's master's program at WKU for social work. I did not have a GED when I hit now counseling. I have a 18-year suspended prison sentence that I'm 2 years into that I don't worry a day about because I don't do anything wrong to have that done. I have a life that if you would have told me was possible 6 years ago, I would have laughed at you because people who grew up like I do and people who do the things that I do don't have those kind of lives. The most they have is a beat up pickup truck. They work construction under the table and they might own their trailer and pay lot rent. That's what I had in front of me. And now I am living proof that you can do drugs from 8 years old to 36 years old and change your life. And if you don't think so, go to one of the rooms of recovery and listen. Get a sponsor and listen. Recovery can look different from everyone. I promise you it can. But if you just get into recovery, abstinence isn't recovery. Not doing drugs is not recovery. But do recovery. Get around people that are like-minded, that are in recovery, that are doing things for their recovery. And you can recover too. I promise you, you can have a good future. It's just finding those people. It's listening to podcasts like this, you know, people that are out there to do good things. The 3 things that I would try to get into before we get out of this is always do the next right thing, always be honest, and always keep pushing. You're always going to have bad days. No one doesn't have bad days. Everyone in the world has bad days. But if you always do the next right thing, you always be honest, and you keep pushing, you'll succeed. That's what a good life is. It really is. You know, so I'll give it back to you guys. I don't want to, I hate that it was so far into the bad times, but the good times are
It's
always.
okay. I need to hear that. That's the thing, like just the depths of that and then where you're at now. It's just beautiful that you made it out of that. And, I see the family man you are now and the way you help people, and it's just beautiful. And that's, I'm grateful that you shared all that stuff. I didn't know some of those specific things, and it's just awesome to see how well you're doing now. So thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Yes,
Sure.
thank you.